Hi, this is CH. This video is part of a series of videos titled My ABCs, or Absolutely Biased Comments, on one mutual fund per video, to share how an individual investor like you and I can try to find out more about a mutual fund from public sources and do some basic research or simple due diligence on the fund before deciding to buy the fund or walk away. Some quick disclaimers before we start. This is not a product sales pitch or a recommendation to buy. I am not sponsored by anyone to do this video. Please do your own research and be clear about the product features and risks before taking any action. The information shown and mentioned in this video is accurate as of the date stated here. In this video, I will be talking about the T. Rowe Price US Smaller Companies Equities Fund. Now, the first thing we need to figure out as an individual investor is where can we obtain information and documents on the fund. T. Rowe Price has a pretty detailed Singapore website that is further segregated by different investor types. Individual investors and financial advisors are grouped together, and I will be referring to this one most of the time, and occasionally grab some additional information from the institutional investors website. You can of course also get some information from your distributor, which is your bank or online platform that you buy funds from, as long as they have the fund on their offering list. And finally, there are plenty of things that can be found in the web. Before we go through the fund details, let's spend a quick moment to understand who the fund provider, T. Rowe Price, is and what they are good in. T. Rowe Price is a US-based asset manager named after its founder, Thomas Rowe Price Jr., who set up the firm in 1937. Thomas was one of the early advocates of growth stock philosophy of investing. Though the firm has grown over the years and now has over $1.6 trillion of assets under management across equities, fixed income, multi-asset and alternative solutions, and serves 17 markets globally. The firm has been investing in small-cap companies since 1960. The firm is a public listed company on Nasdaq, IPO'd in 1986, and is currently a component of the S&P 500 index. T. Rowe Price places quite a bit of emphasis on the independent, rigorous research done by their analysts as part of the strategic active management process. There is even a video in the website that highlights the work involved as an analyst in the firm, which I haven't seen from any other fund providers. I couldn't find any details specific to the Singapore business or the regional awards obtained in the website. There is only a quick mention that the first Asia ex-Japan office was set up in 1987. Now that we know a bit more about T. Rowe Price, let's take a look at the fund. The T. Rowe Price US Smaller Companies Equities Fund is one of 25 sub-funds under the T. Rowe Price Fund's SICAV fund family that is domiciled in Luxembourg and intended for the international offerings of T. Rowe Price funds. The investment objective, as per stated in the fund fact sheet, simply states the fund runs a long-term growth strategy and is focused on US small-cap market. That isn't really useful at all for an investor. The PHS, on the other hand, provides very decent details on the strategy and investment approach, and is one of the more comprehensive versions that I have seen from fund providers. But the clearest version comes from a strategy report document that is found via the institutional investor website. So what we can gather from all this information is that the fund is benchmarked using Russell 2500 index, though the strategy is benchmarked unconstrained. Russell 2500 index is technically a small and mid-caps index, so this fund deploys a long-term growth approach on US small and mid-cap companies through a diversified portfolio of 150 to 200 positions. There is a specific mention of low turnover and patient trading strategy, indicating the fund goes for long-term investing rather than quick tactical bets. The firm has a dedicated small-cap research team that runs fundamental research to look for underfollowed companies with clear business plans financial flexibility, proven management, and attractive valuation. Most importantly is that the company needs to have a value creation catalyst so that there is a higher likelihood of profitability in the investment. While US equity markets is generally efficient, small caps are always lesser researched than large caps, and therefore there are hidden gems waiting for investors to discover. T. Rowe Price, having invested in this market since 1960, looks to have a well-established team and process to do this. Next, let's see how the fund strategy translates into the actual portfolio. The fund was incepted in 2001 and currently has over $5 billion of AUM. This looks like a decent matured fund size for small cap strategies. The fund has 185 holdings as of end November 2024, with a weighted average market cap of $11 billion. This is just slightly higher than the $8 billion of the benchmark. So most of the positions are still small and mid caps, even though the fund is benchmark unconstrained. Sector breakdown wise, there seems to be a deliberate effort to manage the deviation from the benchmark. So there are no sector exposures that look massively different from the benchmark. One thing good with small caps market is that there are no massively oversized sectors, like for example the mega tech names in the large cap market. So the sector exposures are quite different from what we see in the usual global equity or US equity funds. With nearly 200 holdings, the fund is keeping the weights quite diversified. So there are no positions with more than 1.5% exposure in the portfolio. The top 10 holdings look diversified across industries, and most of the company names should not be familiar to Singapore investors, as these are not the global brands we see advertised around us every day. Something I like about the T. Rowe Price website is that it readily provides full holdings data and performance attribution data, instead of posting them in a commentary document like most other fund providers. This easily provides more details on the portfolio adjustments and performance of the fund to investors. There are also various statistical portfolio data available, which shows the fund has a positive 1.52% alpha with only 0.81 beta in the past 5 years, which is a good thing. Sharpe ratio is also higher than the benchmark at 0.43. Let's take a look at the fund managers next. Matt Mahon is the only named manager in the fund-specific webpage and in the fund fact sheet. However, there seems to be some errors on his bio. In the fund-specific webpage, it stated he is the fund manager since 2024, worked for 8 years in the firm, and has 14 years of investment experience. The fund fact sheet, however, stated Matt is the manager since 2023. A separate search on Matt's bio on T. Rowe Price website shows he has instead worked for 7 years in the firm and has 16 years of investment experience. Someone in T. Rowe Price should really sort this out and fix the errors. Anyways, Matt is stated as a member in various small cap and mid cap advisory committees in the firm, but nothing else about him is provided. A check on Morningstar shows that Matt started managing the fund from September 2023. Interestingly, there is also Kurt Organ, who is supposed to be a co-manager, and he has managed the fund longer, since March 2019. Also worth noting is that the fund has gone through multiple manager changes in the past 10 years, which is not a good thing. A separate search on Kurt's bio on T. Rowe Price website does indeed says he is the co-manager of the fund. Kurt is also very experienced, with 28 years in the firm and 32 years of investment experience. It is strange that Kurt is not listed as a named manager, which suggests he may have left the role or the firm very recently. If that's the case, it seems quite unfortunate, as Kurt has significantly more experience than Matt and has managed the fund for a few years now. There doesn't seem to be any other information available with regards to the fund managers. So I feel this might be an area that T. Rowe Price can improve on to provide a bit more color on the fund managers to investors. Share classes for the T. Rowe Price US Smaller Companies Equities Fund is rather straightforward for Singapore retail investors. The fund uses alphabet A to denote the retail share class, and there is basically the base currency US dollar class and a Sing dollar unhedged class. Both are accumulation classes, as small cap markets are primarily growth-focused companies and hardly gives dividends anyways. The US dollar class was incepted in 2001, so it has a long track record. The Sing dollar class was only incepted recently in August 2024, so I will not be covering its limited performance data later. This does indicate that this fund is finally showing some love for Singapore retail investors. There is also a A Euro share class available. The A class charges a 1.6% per annum management fee, which is just marginally higher than the 1.5% average for most equity funds. Considering this is a small caps equity strategy, it makes sense for the fund to charge slightly higher. Adding other expenses will give about 1.7% TER. Up to 65% of the management fee can be paid by the fund to distributors as trailer fees. The fund also allows distributors to charge up to 5% subscription fees, although anything more than 2% for mutual funds looks excessive. Finally, let's see how the fund has performed through the years. The website has more data than the fact sheet, so I will be grabbing screenshots from the website. On annualized periods, the fund has a decent long-term track record, with 10-year annualized of 10.91% that is decently above the benchmark of 9.38%. 1-year and 3-year numbers are below the benchmark, but are still nevertheless decent positive returns. On calendar year basis for the past 10 years, the fund has had a very decent outperformance of 7 out of 10 years, with the underperformed years not too far off the benchmark. Worst year was in 2022 with minus 21.06%, while best year was in 2019 with 36.61%, showing the US small and mid-cap equity market can have a huge range in terms of returns. Year to date is positive, though lagging behind the benchmark. The website and fact sheet do not have performance data prior to 2014, so I have to borrow the excellent dynamic charts from Morningstar here. For past 10 years of performance, the fund in blue line has shown to have a returns track record that is correlated but superior than the Russell 2000 or RUT small cap markets, and actually more similar to the S&P 500 or SPX and Russell 1000 or RUI large cap markets. It can also be seen that while in recent years the small cap markets have been weaker than large cap markets, there are times when the small cap markets spike up substantially. So a fund like this can potentially provide a complement to the usual large cap exposures in investors' portfolios. What is even more interesting is that, with the long track record of this fund since 2001, it can be seen that the fund strategy had been so successful in the past that the cumulative returns of the fund since inception is nearly double of the market performance, regardless if you compare against large cap or small caps. Therefore, T. Rowe Price has definitely done something right with this fund. So the key question here is that, is Matt, the current fund manager, able to improve the fund performance and replicate its prior successes to let the fund shine again? Perhaps, with Donald Trump's second attempt to make America great again, there might be decent opportunities for Matt and the fund in the next few years. With that, let's summarize our findings and start with the good stuff. T. Rowe Price is a US asset manager with a long heritage since 1937. The bulk of the business is in equities, and the firm has invested in US small caps since 1960. The fund strategy runs a long-term fundamental approach to uncover hidden gems that are healthy companies with a growth catalyst but are undervalued by the market. The fund is supported by a dedicated small caps research team. The fund was incepted in 2001 and has a strong track record, exhibiting a clear superior return than the US markets in the long run, be it compared to the US large caps or small caps indices. Share classes available for retail investors are straightforward, with just US dollars and Sing dollars accumulation classes. Let's talk about the bad and the questionables next. My main issues with this fund are with regards to the fund manager aspect. There have been multiple changes in the fund managers through the years, which is a concern for investors. Kurt, who is very experienced and had been managing the fund for the past 5 years, appears to have left the role recently. Matt, the latest manager, is only just past a year with this fund, so it remains to be seen whether he can do better. On a related note, the information available on the fund managers is absolutely lacking and also error-prone. This should be something T. Rowe Price can improve on easily. The fund performance, while okay in recent years, can be improved so that it can shine like it had in the prior decade. Only time will tell if Matt can make the fund great again. This concludes my absolutely biased comments on the T. Rowe Price US Smaller Companies Equities Fund. Would you invest in the fund or give it a miss? Or are you already invested in it? Do drop a comment to let me know what you think. Additionally, if you find this video useful and would like to see more related contents, please click on like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video to your friends. Thank you and have a great day.